So it's going to be, I have a lot of explaining to do. And trust me, with the teacher's textbook helping guide us along, I'm going to explain everything. We're going to go all the way back to page 4, make sure that you guys have really, really good notes to study. And you're going to be feeling a lot better by the end of this lesson compared to where you may be now when you feel like we're kind of moving along, but you're not quite sure what to study or if you have the correct answers or anything. We'll get you all the correct answers you need. I bet a lot of you have the correct answers. Very quickly, some students were asking, how come AB equals AC is okay, but AC equals BC is not okay? You'd write it on a piece of loose leaf. Like, yeah, I asked you guys to write this on loose leaf. If you want to put in your textbook somewhere on a page we haven't used, like, early in the textbook, that's fine. How come AC does not equal BC? How come AB equals AC, but AC doesn't equal BC? Some students were confused about that. You can put it in the chat box. AB equals AC is fine. Why AC not equal to BC? Yes, 2 does not equal 1. Good. 2 does not equal 1. Thank you. All right, so protractors and compasses, you really need these later this afternoon, this evening. I'm going to flip the classroom. I'm going to make a video of duplicating line segments, and you guys are going to follow along with that. So if you have a compass, awesome. You just need it at home. All right, whether it's the ruler compass or point and pencil compass, either one would work. I'm going to use an example for both. I'm going to also put up YouTube videos of other people duplicating the line segment, and I think you guys will get it with no problem. All right, so that's going to be your homework tonight. It's a flipped classroom. All right, you're going to watch like sort of a lecture or a lesson on, this is where I'm going to do I've got a document camera here, that's why I pointed and looked over there. Now, grades. Grades is something I'm going to discuss a lot over the course of the year. I just haven't discussed it yet because I need you guys focusing on a lot of other things like, I don't know, learning geometry and notation in particular. But I'll be addressing grades a lot in this class. Just nothing really was due quite yet. So the portal was down last night. That's the gateway to the grade book for me to get on. So I haven't put anything up for anybody yet. Spoiler alert, if you submitted Who I Am and A through G and you completed it, you get 100. All right. If you haven't submitted yet, that's okay. There's a couple of you out there that haven't submitted yet. You at this point, you have to ask colleagues, your classmates, supervisors. You'll still get 100 on it, but you need to get some sort of routine or way to upload assignments. I can't accept assignments over email. I'm sorry, I can't have 130 emails every time there's an assignment with everybody attaching theirs. Okay, it's got to be uploaded onto Learning Hub. You have to figure out how to do that. All right. Now, please be patient. Please be patient with grades because there's one more outstanding, not the Who I Am that you guys are worried about. It's the algebra quiz that you took. You're not going to believe this, but I don't have anybody's quiz yet. This is something really important. These next few slides you have to pay careful attention to, so listen closely because students take a while to get this. If you took another quiz or test on Friday, today you're probably asking that teacher, did you grade the quiz or test yet? All right, because they basically had the weekend to do it. Maybe they did, maybe they didn't. Just relax. You'll get your grades when you get your grades, okay? The year is going to go plenty fast, okay? You really start noticing how fast years go by around 6th or 7th grade, and then 8th grade is fast, 9th grade's faster, 10th grade's faster, and then once you're my age, you feel like every year lasts a month, okay? I'm probably going to grade later this week into this weekend with your quizzes. Here's why I don't have your quizzes. Every teacher you currently have or have had, unless you've taken an online class, they gave you a test, say 4th period, which we're in now. They gave you a test, and as you were taking that test 4th period, they were grading 1st, 2nd, 3rd period, whatever other period they have that class in. They could grade those tests while you guys were testing, right? Or at the very least, they could start grading them during lunch, or just take them home and start grading them that night, okay, if they want to. It depends on the routines your teacher has. With this teacher, I don't get your test until the afternoon of the next day. And since we're in the later periods now, because the interoffice mail is picked up at like 10:30 a.m., I'm not going to get your quizzes. I'm not going to get your quizzes until tomorrow afternoon. All right, let me repeat that. You took a Friday quiz. Mr. Horan does not even get the quizzes until Friday afternoon. And I think this stuff is really important. 20% of your grade is what you upload onto the Learning Hub, okay? It's only 20% of your grade. It gets diluted because there's going to be so many assignments. but 80% of your grade is going to be just a handful of quizzes and tests every 6 weeks. So I think it's really important for 80% of your grade that I get the actual physical copy that you worked on, so I can see your thinking, I can see eraser marks, I can see the straight pencil marks, all that stuff. I want to really see what your work is. Don't worry, nothing gets lost. Nothing has gotten lost in inter-office mail yet in 2 years. Besides your supervisor's scan a backup, I sometimes scan like an absent student's if it's like the end of the 6 weeks. But to have to do 10, 11, 12, 15 papers in a row that's all on a scan, and sometimes they get mixed up. It's just not the way I typically want to grade. Although maybe I will second semester, but for now. I grade the interoffice mail, the actual physical copies, and the interoffice mail takes a day and a half to 2 days to get here. So just don't think I get anything until 48 hours later. Just think I don't even get it till 48 hours later. Then I grade them. You're going to have to be patient. You must be patient. I'm not asking you. I'm telling you. You must be patient. You're still 2 years ahead in math. None of that changes. All right. Speaking of quizzes, we are on pace to still have it on Thursday, August 30th. I'll let you know if we're going to push that back. Let's see how the next couple of days go. It's on 1.1 to 1.3. We're finishing up pretty much 1.1 today. It might be a little sliver tomorrow, or just to clarify something tomorrow. But 1.2 and 1.3 go pretty quickly. They'll go pretty quickly. All right, so be on the lookout for that. You need protractors and compasses. The protractors just to kind of make a straight line, but you definitely need a compass. You'll need that this evening when I send a remind out that I've made the recording for how to duplicate a line segment. All right, so your Carnegie learning, struggle on left, structure on right. Some people like to do pencil and pen. Some people like to do top, bottom, all up to you. I want you guys to turn to page 15. Let's all lower your hands, sorry. Turn to page 15. On your own, circle the correct answers. This is the stuff that drives students nuts because they see like the little details of geometry. Give it your best shot. Give it your best shot. Circle the correct answers. Page 15 on your own. Go. Raise your hand when you're done. All right, don't forget to raise your hand when you're finished. All right, yep, everybody should be working on number 13 on page 14. Okay, so page 14, number 13. All right, raise your hand when you're done. All right, so take a minute, compare your answers for number 13, and that's going to conclude 1.1 in terms of the struggle. There's still a lecture that you have to listen to. We've got 20 minutes for it. It's going to be great. All right, so compare your answers with a partner. Take a minute, and I'll be right back. All right, come on back. Take a big deep breath. All right, we're done with 1.1 in terms of the struggle part. All right, now let's get some structure going. Let's get structure going. Let's get some answers here first of all. Let's get some answers here. All right. Most of you probably put FG equals HI. Okay, here's what FG equals HI means, because a lot of students are getting confused as to like when to use what. All right, and it's going to take study and it's going to take practice. We don't give you a million algebra problems to do in this course, okay, or a million geometry problems and then that's it, you know how to do it. You need to study terms. You need to study definitions of things. It's a very different math class than what you're used to. When you write FG equals HI with no hat on it, you're saying the distance from point F to point G is equal to the distance from point H to point I. In contrast to that, if you have line segment FG and you're comparing it to line segment HI, they're congruent to each other because you're talking about line segments as shapes. Okay, do you see how one's talking about distance, which we measure in centimeters, inches, feet, and the other is talking about the shapes themselves being the same, or the word we use is congruent. Here you're talking about distances being the same, that's a number. Here you're talking about shapes being the same. That's congruence. Okay, is that clear? Now, this is M for measure. M stands for measure. A few students had questions about that. M stands for measure. And they're saying that you're going to take this object, this line segment FG, and you're going to measure it. And when we measure in centimeters, feet, inches, miles, etc. Okay? So when you're comparing the measures of things, you're talking about equals because we measure with numbers. All right? You don't say that FG centimeters is congruent to HI centimeters. Okay? That's not how we speak in geometry. All right. When you're talking about FG equals HI, you're saying that 10 centimeters, the distance between F and G, is equal to 10 centimeters, the distance between H and I. So put in the chat box, if I wanted to use 10 centimeters, okay, if I wanted to use 10 centimeters in a statement, okay, these are three statements. FG is congruent to HI, measure of FG is congruent to measure of line segment HI. What statement could you have 10 centimeters in? Put in the chat box. I bet some of you actually had this as an answer. All right, if you were going to write a statement featuring 10 centimeters, okay, there's one. Yep, saying FG without the hat equals 10 centimeters. Okay, anybody else in the chat box? By the way, if you're watching the recording, you can see the chat box. All right, HI equals 10 centimeters. Okay. Somebody else? Somebody else? What else could you say is 10 centimeters? Good, the measure of FG. Okay, there'd be a hat on that, but thank you. Yeah, it's hard to put that in the chat box. Okay, good. All right, that's what I'm looking for. Great. Great. All right, now I'm going to share the teacher textbook, but before I do that, or as I'm doing that, we're going to go all the way to page 4. All right, go all the way back to page 4. Sorry, there we go. Go all the way back to page 4, and then in the chat box, I love when we do this, we're all going to type at once, okay? All 11 of you are going to type in number 1, yes or no. Was number 1 a yes or no on page 4? Was number 1 a yes or no on page 4? Put it in the chat box. Everybody, that's 3 of you. 8 more. 8 more. Was it yes or no? Okay, everybody's saying no, you are correct. What about number 2? We're going all the way back to page 4. Okay, so this is, I bet a lot of you are watching this recording now. All right, number 2 is a yes. We're on page 4, number 2. All right, what about number 3? What about number 3? Sometimes they go in a different order. Listen to what I say, but for right now, we'll go in the same order. Okay. And then number 4, how many? How many for number 4? How many for number 4? All right, you need 2 points to make a line. And then answer to number 5 as I share this with you guys. Okay, there's 2 answers to number 5. All right, cool. All right, so let's look at these. Let's look at these. Jot some stuff down if you need to. If you got the right answer, awesome. Now you know what to study, but you got to study this stuff, guys. 1 point never defines a line. 2 points are needed to define a line. One of the reasons why we could say line N, because that was in italics, or line M, that's in italics, you're naming the line the same way you'd name a plane with 1 lowercase letter, okay? But if it's a point on the line, you can't name the line after just 1 point. Okay, you can say line CD or line DC. Okay, line M does describe a unique line. All right, any 2 points in the universe are collinear. Any 2 points in the universe are collinear. We've got some questions about 3 points in a second. All right, and then line AB or line BA, make sure you've got the right hat with the arrows going both ways, or line N is all correct. Okay, now what about page 5? Go to page 5. All right, number 7. What was your answer? Put it in the chat box. 1 word's good enough. As many? Yes, an infinite number. Good. Good, an infinite number. What about 8A? What about 8A? We're going to get some different answers here. Some of you guys are going to have different triplets, different 3s. Okay, points ACE, points EDB. All right. Well, no, not too many to count because it had to be like listed there. I see what you're getting at, though. I see what you're getting at. All right. And then what about 8B, the non-collinear? The non-collinear. All right. Now let me kind of lecture over this. What about 8B? Okay, good. So Number seven, an infinite number of lines. You have a single point. You can have an infinite number of lines going through it, right? All good. What about 8A? Okay, 3 points that are collinear. All right, there are some varying answers. ACE and ADB were the most popular that people put, and also in the teacher's books. So make sure you've got whichever one you have. Just make sure you've got both. Okay, you can just list the points there. And then 3 points that are not collinear. Okay, notice how they're doing 3 points. 2 points are always collinear, but 3 points may not be. Okay, and then they're just giving you examples of many that you have there. So make sure you have at least 2 examples there for 8B. So page 6. Page 6. All right, now we're getting really interesting. Okay, you guys highlighted this already. All good. All right. And now figure 1. All right. I'm going to go by figures here. Figure 1, how does this interact? Where do P, W, and Z all meet? Put it in the chat box. Where do they? Yes, one line. They're all meeting at one line. It looks like there's a point here, but that's just because they kind of cut off these planes that are infinite. Okay, it's an infinite line. All 3 planes are meeting. What about figure 2? Okay, take 2 planes at a time here. There's more going on here. Okay, how do P and Z intersect? P and Z intersect at one line. Okay, how do W and Z intersect? Be careful, we're going to talk about this in a second. How do P and Z, Z and W intersect at one line? Okay, how do P and W intersect? Okay, they don't. All right, let's keep it at this. Because they don't intersect, we can then conclude they're parallel, but I don't want you guys using the words parallel or perpendicular right now. We don't have any proof that these things are parallel and perpendicular. This is going to drive you nuts about this course, but you can assume things. Just because something looks a certain way doesn't mean it doesn't. We don't know if W and P end up actually meeting all the way at the top of the page, right? Okay. All right, the fact that they don't, we can then conclude they're parallel, then say they're perpendicular to Z. Okay, all that, we're not doing that. Just do they intersect or not? How do they intersect? That's all we're doing right now. Keep that in mind for figure 4 in particular. All right, figure 3, how do P and Z intersect? All right, one thing at a time. P and Z. How do P and Z intersect? All right, how do W and Z intersect? That's not line P, that's a plane. Be careful. That's not a line. Yeah, we can't name the lines yet. We're just saying how they intersect. That's it. Keep it very simple. And then what about plane P and plane W? How do they intersect? Good. All right, now figure 4 has some interesting things going on. How do P and Z intersect? Good. How do W and Z intersect? All right, now take them all together. How do P, W, and Z all intersect? How are P, W, and Z all intersecting? Good, Rashawn. It's a point. P, W, and Z intersect at one point. And then P, W, and Z. Keep it simple, guys. How do P, W, and Z interact? Keep it simple. They don't. That's it. Done. Let's not say they are parallel, but let's not make any assumptions. We haven't learned parallel just yet. All right, so make sure that you have these notes. Okay, you can keep it simple. Okay, planes P and Z intersect single line. You guys had this already. You were putting it in the chat box. These are the official answers for figures 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. All right, good. This is what I'm sharing. It's on the recording if you need it. Yep, I'm recording this class, in fact. So yeah, no, if you need to stretch all these out, I bet a lot of you guys got this correct anyway. And then 5, of course, They don't intersect. That's it. Notice that we're not saying parallel or perpendicular or anything like that. Okay, and again, this is on the recording. Okay. Page 7, number 10. What did all of you all get? Page 7, number 10. What did you get? Did I, hold on, is this the one I shared already? Yeah, it's the fourth time I'm doing this. 7, 8, yes. Oh, I'm sorry, yeah, no, you're right. Number 10, this is all here. If you want to name this, like this is figure 5, okay, that's figure 5. Okay, this is figure 1. All right, if you want to go back to the recording and like actually formally write all of this out. I think you guys, it was more a visual exercise. If you guys have the visual correct, you should be fine. Yeah. All right. And then number 11, I shared with you guys before. I told you guys to draw the skew lines and everything. All right. So page 10. Page 10, number 1. What did all of you all get? Page 10, number 1. What did all of you all get? 27, we're good. All right. Ray pointing to the right. Number 2, which way is it pointing? Okay. Number 3. Number 3, yes or no? Number 3, yes or no? Good. It's a no. So what's number 4 then? What's number 4? Okay, this is important. This is important. All right, number 4. Number 4 should be letters. Good. Okay, now watch this. Come on. Watch this. All right, so you have this highlighted. You have this highlighted. Okay, here's your sketches for 1, 2, and then the answer to 3 is no. Okay, this is ray AB and ray BA. This is in contrast to lines and line segments. Rays have one correct answer, one specific direction. So you guys got that right for number 4. GF, with just the hat where the arrow goes that way, even though G and F are going kind of to your left, that's the only correct answer. Make sure you've got that correct answer for number 4. That's the only correct answer for that ray. Okay. Go to page 11. All right, number 5. No, sorry, 5, 6, number 7. Number 7. Sorry. Number 7. I want to jump to that. Number 7, yes or no? Okay, yeah, this is straightforward. This is straightforward. Sorry, I didn't want to make you guys draw line segments. The ray, you could do the arrow. That's why I did that. Okay, line segment and endpoints of a line segment. All right, they're called endpoints of a ray, not begin points like that wise guy was saying. All right, these are the same line segment. You can put them in different order. That's in contrast to a ray. Lines and line segments you could name either way. Rays you cannot. There's a separate endpoint, and then there's the unending arrow. All right, good. Let's get to some real good stuff here. All right, so here's number 10. Make sure you have these exact answers. This was a CBA question. All right, except we just said, oh, draw a line segment FG and label it. Draw line FG and label it. Draw ray FG and label it. These are the only correct answers. Make sure you have all of these. There's 2 answers for A, 2 answers for B, 1 answer for C. Okay. And now the bottom of this page, the second half of this page, I should say. I'm not going to make you highlight and asterisk all this, although you could. You need to read this at least twice outside of class, even listening to this if you're watching the recording, which I know many of you are. I read this again. Read this again, because we're going to get to the finicky part of like congruent line segments versus equal measure line segments. I want you to notice, because we're going to be doing this in this course, notice how in this rectangle they have one tick mark at 8 for AD and one tick mark for line segment BC. That means they're congruent to one another. All right, that's the way we just indicate some objects on a when we're drawing them. Okay, 2 tick marks means the same thing. Sometimes you get up to 3 and 4 tick marks, depending on how elaborate the drawing is. Okay, so AB is congruent to CD. All right, those segments are. All right, that's because the measure of them is equal. When we measure, we're using inches, centimeter, feet, miles, and so forth. Okay, you're not using miles or centimeters when you just say AD is congruent to BC. You're just saying that the segments themselves are congruent to one another. So this is very foundational. Okay, the congruent symbol is about the figure. The equal sign references lengths or distances. All right. Good. Good. Now, let's go to page 15. Let's go to page 15. We're going through all this. Okay. There are 3 correct answers. Take a look. Asterisk these correct answers or circle them in pen, whatever you have to do. This is what you need to study. And this is going to clarify a lot for you guys. Okay. If you want to say that line segment as an object, you would write it HO with a hat. If you want to talk about TO as a line segment, you would write it TO with a hat. If you want to talk about how they are congruent to one another, you'd use the congruent symbol. You're talking about the objects themselves. You're talking about the object or the shape itself. If you want to talk about the distance between H and O being the same as the distance between T and O, all right, you see the tick marks here indicating congruence. Well, you can state that, but you have to write the correct statement. You have to write HO equals TO. Because if you're talking about distance from H to O or T to O, you're talking about centimeters, inches, feet. When you're talking about HO and TO being objects that are the same, okay, you're talking about congruence. Do you see the difference there? All right, here's the distance between H and O and T and O. That's measured in centimeters, feet, miles. You don't use the congruent symbol, you use the equal sign. Okay, so you guys see the difference between this and this, this and this, this and this. Do you see the difference between all of them? Okay, these are the 2 correct answers right here in that left column. Now, here's where students can really get confused. The fact that you use the equal sign, yet you still have the hat on it. Okay, the M means measure. The M means measure. I want to actually talk about this guy right here. Okay, what this would read is the measure of the distance between H and O equals the measure of the distance from T to O. So it's kind of redundant that you're using measure and distance in the same way. Okay? And then here, you're measuring the distance of H to O and the measure of the distance between T to O, and you're using congruence. When you're measuring, you're using centimeters or feet or whatever, okay? So here it's redundant. Here it's redundant. You're saying measuring the distance. Here you're saying measuring the distance, and then you're using congruence. So that, you know, doubly doesn't make sense in some way. And if you're going to use HO as an object, but you're measuring that HO, you are now using a number. You measure objects in centimeters, feet, miles. That's why you're using the equal sign. Is that a lot clearer to you guys now? As you see what's correct versus what's not correct? Okay. And that's what you guys can compare to your notes that were on the Do Now slide and that you finished up Friday's lesson with. All right. And then I'll pick it up with number 14. Sorry, we already did question 14. Yeah, you guys are able to do now the 1.1 homework. All right, you've got to watch the video on constructing line segments tonight and study. You can complete the 1.1 homework, give it your best college try. And the 1.1 homework's not due just yet. All right, see you guys tomorrow.